go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have 6 new coastal fall Dollar Tree DIYs to share with you. So let's get crafting. The first DIY, I'm going to use one of these metal yard stakes from the Dollar Tree. I just popped the little stake off the back of it. It came off really easy. And then I'm just going to use a thrifted sign because I kind of wanted something heavy duty. Like a hardwood sign, because the metal sign of the pumpkin that I'm going to put on there is going to be a little bit heavy. Now, this particular thrifted sign is black, so I'm just using like a tan color. I think this is cashew chalk paint on the sides. I just want to give like the sides of the sign like a driftwood appearance. And I thought this would give me pretty good coverage on the side. As you can see, I'm just kind of sloppily painting. I want a little bit of the darker colors to show through. It's just going to give it a little bit more character. And what I want to do is kind of remake that little pumpkin stake and make a really cute little coastal sign for fall. This was so easy to put together. Now I'm just distressing all of that cashew paint with the Antique Wax by Waverly, just using a chunky brush and a baby wipe. Now I was thinking I probably didn't need to paint over the words on that sign, but because I'm going to cover it with some of the synthetic burlap from the little bags from Dollar Tree. But as you can see, even though it's thick with backing, you could still see the words through there. So I am going to have to paint that part too. I'm just going to do one coat all over of this color, and it's just going to kind of mask the words. I don't want anything peeking through. And I want to do like driftwood on the sides, like burlap on the top, and then we'll attach the metal pumpkin, which we're going to give a slight makeover. Now, you guys know I love these burlap bags from Dollar Tree. I was checking out the other day with some of these, and they were like, how many do you have? And I'm like, how many? I don't know how many you had. I just grabbed them all because I love them. They craft so nicely because they don't fray. They have like a plastic coating kind of on the back, and it makes them super easy to cut, but it gives you that appearance of burlap without being quite so messy. I have picked up the synthetic burlap in a roll form from Amazon, but I believe that these bags from the Dollar Tree is a better deal. So I just cut that rectangle down to size just to cover the front of my sign. I wasn't sure how to attach it. I tried hot glue right here in the middle. And as you can see, you could kind of see like the raised portion where that's going to be. I just wanted something to kind of tack it down. You're not going to be able to see that part because it's going to be behind the pumpkin, but the rest I want to look pretty. So I just decided to Mod Podge that down. And even though there's a plastic coating on the back of that burlap, it does take to Mod Podge well, as long as you give it a few minutes to dry. So that looks pretty good. And now it's time to do a little makeover on our metal pumpkin. I have this metal pumpkin left over from last year. They've had this the last several years. I think they may have changed them up a little bit this year, but they're pretty similar. Like, I think the leaves are the same. The texture might be a little bit different. I was just able to finally find some fall decor at my Dollar Tree, but they only had like the fall decor, not the fall crafting materials so far. And I was able to pick up some new yard stakes, but I'm going to kind of show you this one. I love the texture on this one. I've used this for a lot of DIYs, and I just want mine to be like a beautiful like beachy blue. So I like mixed turquoise and white together to give me that soft turquoise color. And I am covering up the orange, which is a little bit harder to paint over than like the ivory ones. But it's probably going to take like 3 coats of acrylic just to get good coverage on there. I really don't want any of that orange showing through. I want it to look nice and beachy blue. And then my plan is to finish this off with a little Dollar Tree sand dollar on the front. It's going to give it a beautiful little coastal fall feel. And this was one of my favorite DIYs that I made today. It was a lot of fun. I did get a little blue on my leaves, but you know what? I kind of liked that. So I decided to kind of leave the distressing on there a little bit, and I'll go back and distress the leaves a little bit too, just trying to get the pumpkin blue at this point. And that color turned out really nice. It was very soft. So I decided to distress all over on the leaves with the blue too. And then I also went in with a little white on the leaves as well. And then I am going on the stem with just some Antique Wax by Waverly. I want it to look kind of grainy, kind of like a real pumpkin stem. You could get the same effect with brown paint, but I kind of like the distressed feel of the Antique Wax by Waverly, and I use that to distress the leaves as well. And it is time to attach it to the sign. Now, since it is a metal pumpkin, it is arched up in the middle, so it doesn't make contact with the sign. So I'm going to have to kind of put something behind it to help it stay. I probably can glue down the stem, but I need just a little brace for the middle. So I'm just going to use 2 of the little Dollar Tree mini Jenga blocks on their side, and that seemed about the right depth to fill in the space there behind the pumpkin to help attach this to the front. Now, this metal pumpkin is a little bit heavier. That's why I chose the heavy duty sign. And I am going to use hot glue to attach this. Hopefully it will hold up. You might need to use a different kind of glue. I did go with hot glue just for speed, but sometimes the metal can be a little tricky with gluing things to it. But so far, so good. I'm also going to hot glue on a little Dollar Tree sand dollar to the front. These are one of the little sand dollars from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. I always stock up for year-round use because they're gorgeous. Now, I absolutely love how this turned out. The only issue I had with it is that it did want to fall over. And so I am going to have to weigh down the bottom just a little bit. I'm going to do that with one of these little Jenga blocks from Five Below, just to make sure that this does not tip over on me. And it turned out really cute. So here's our little first coastal pumpkin today using a Dollar Tree yard stake and a thrifted sign I got for like $1.50. So cute with the addition of the little sand dollar on the front. I think it'd be really cute with a starfish as well, or a seashell, whatever you've got. I love the colors and the textures are fantastic. Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to give one of these little Dollar Tree leaf signs a makeover. I found that it was just about the right size to go on one of the little Dollar Tree wood rounds. So what I want to do is do like a coastal, Spanish moss leaf. I kind of had the idea in my head. I've never seen anybody do it, and I thought we could probably pull it off here. Now, I wanted to have lots of texture, so instead of painting my wood round, I thought I would cover it with one of these beautiful mint greenish blue colored placemats from the Dollar Tree and just cutting that down to size. I just mark that on there with an ink pen and then just cut right on the line. And as you can see, the placemat is a little short for the wood round, but I think I can piece this together and make it look pretty seamless. I can cover most of it in that, and then I can go back and use the little scrap piece to fill in the little bottom part, and you really can't even tell. I'm going to go ahead and attach this by just hot gluing the top part of this to it, and it's so thick it does really well with the hot glue, and I think that's going to be a nice strong way to keep that on there because we're going to kind of layer the sign to get to the Spanish moss leaf. So what I'm going to do for this bottom part is just go ahead and glue it on there, straight seam to seam, maybe a slight overlap, but not much. And then once I get it glued on there, then I can just cut that down to size. And just a really fun, easy way to cover one of these wood rounds, and I think it turned out really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and poke 2 holes where the existing holes are in the wood round with just one of these little cricket weeders. And then I'm going to use the existing hanger that came on it. I think that's going to work fine. It's just a matter of poking it through the placemat. And we're going to have a really easy background here for the fall leaf. And the colors of this is really light and beachy. I think it goes with a lot of the DIYs that we're going to make today. And that part is ready. Now for the leaf, I'm using this one just because I don't have a plain wood one. It's whatever you have. The size on this one works great with the wood round. And so it does have a little bump out leaf here on the front. I'm just gonna use a little heat and a putty knife to try to pop that off. I don't really care about damage because that's gonna be my back. I'm not gonna try doing anything with that glitter and stuff like that. I want my fall leaf to be like it's falling, so kind of like upside down like this. And then I'm going to use Dollar Tree Spanish moss to cover the leaf. I had some, I always save that when I use it in DIYs because you can usually reuse it quite a few times. And I'm just going to go over the whole leaf and just hot glue that down. I'm trying to work like maybe one section at a time just so my hot glue doesn't set up. And I'm just kind of doing a thin layer of it, so it gets kind of messy, but I just pull the Spanish moss out, kind of flatten it out into a layer, and then just fill up a section. Since the back of the sign is already kind of a brown color, it kind of coordinates with the Spanish moss anyway, so it's okay if some of that shines through, but I'm trying to get as good a coverage as I can. I don't really want like the hot glue to be visible though, so if you get any little globs of hot glue like I just had back there, just melt it with a heat gun. It works really well. I also cover the stem. And once I get it all on there, I just try to go through and add a little bit more Spanish moss to any like little bald areas on there and clean up any excess hot glue. Now it's time to give it a little trim, a little haircut. Just going all the way around because I still want you to see that great leaf shape for this. And just give it a quick trim. And also shaking off any of the like little Spanish moss that might not be attached all the way to the front because this is going to be a hanging sign. I really don't want any excess material to be able to fall off. The best way to clean up all of that mess is I use one of the little Dollar Tree rollers. Little lint rollers. It picks up all those little pieces really well. Now I want it to go like this. I want it to be like it is a falling leaf. And so I think it is ready to attach to our little background sign. I am just going to make sure there's no Spanish moss on there that's going to get caught in my hot glue. And then just hot glue all over the back of my sign. I want it on there really good. And dumping off any Spanish moss. It is a little messy to put this together, but once you get it on there, it should all stay put. Now, I want it to look like, you know, almost like seaweed at the beach. I thought it would be really fun to have like little seashells and starfish like in it, kind of like peeking out. So I'm going to use a combination of the little Dollar Tree seashells that you get in the glass bottles and the little tiny starfish. I get these on Amazon and I do have those linked in my Amazon shop below. I love them. They're so fun for coastal crafting. So I'm just going to do a combination of all of those different kinds of shells, trying to kind of stick to like kind of the white and the tan color scheme, and my little like ivory colored starfish as well. And I'm just going to kind of scatter those all over my Spanish moss. Maybe doing like 2 shells like on each little section of the leaf, just kind of randomly scattered along. I don't want too much, but I want definitely enough to kind of show that it is a coastal leaf for a fall by the sea. I think that looks pretty good. Just cleaning up any drips of hot glue, and then I want to frame the whole thing out with some of the Dollar Tree brown rope. This is the thinner one. I think it's a 9-foot, and I am just going to start this new package. I usually like to do my seam at the bottom, so about right directly on the bottom. I'm going to start by hot gluing that to the edges. Now I was trying to like kind of show you how I was doing it, so I was kind of hot gluing it like that, but you know, that's not the cleanest way to do it. It's easier to like just pick it up and put the glue directly on the sides. I mean, nothing's gonna stick to my silicone mat, but this is definitely a cleaner way to do it. I like to do just one section at a time, that way I can kind of keep control of it, and I don't want my hot glue to set up. I love framing out these Dollar Tree wood rounds because they make them look thicker. and like way more substantial. So I'm just going to follow that all the way around. And this DIY was so fun to make, and I think it's so unique. A little Spanish moss coastal fall leaf. Just trying to clean it up a little bit. And I think the colors work really well together, and I really like the shape made out of the Spanish moss. I think it looks like so beachy and fallish with all that beautiful texture and stuff. And here is kind of a close-up view of our little Spanish moss leaf full of seashells and starfish. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put this. I might put this in my dining room. I think it's going to look so beachy and fun for fall. Okay, next DIY. I wanted to give a go at a really fun textured pumpkin sign. So I'm going to use a pumpkin wood sign from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use 2 of these Dollar Tree wall shelves. You guys know I love to craft with these. They make really good signs because they're nice and thick. You can put as many of them together as you want to make as large of a sign as you need. I only need 2 today. I'm going to save all my twine and rings there. Don't need them for this DIY. I'm just going to be left with 2 boards. Now, I thought I would do something fun. Instead of painting the boards for the background, I thought we could try to cover them with this Dollar Tree faux leather in like a whitish ivory color. I never use this Dollar Tree faux leather. I always buy it. I never use it. But I thought I would give it a try, and it was so easy to do because it's a nice thick material. It gives you a great texture. And I decided just to cut down a piece for each board. I thought that would make it easier. So I just lay it on the back of the leather using an ink pen to kind of draw around so I can get a custom size here. And it cuts so beautifully. So I'm just going to trim down the 2 rectangular pieces there, and that is going to cover those back signs. It's going to do a pretty good job of covering the holes in the side as well. And I have to admit, this was way easier than painting. Now, I was trying to think of how I should attach it since it's kind of a thicker material, but I don't really want to melt it. I'm not sure how it holds up to hot glue. So in the end, I decided to use Mod Podge. Just a nice thick layer all over, and that seemed to work really well. I'm assuming it's like a polyester material, the faux leather, that it would melt with heat, but I'm not sure. I don't think I've used heat on it. If I did, I can't remember. So I'm just smoothing that out, making sure it's nice and flat, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the top, just a nice thick layer of matte Mod Podge all over, and lay this one down. And I'm going to put the 2 signs together to make a larger sign. So it's nice and thick, so I can just do a bead of hot glue all along the edge. And then I'm just going to stick that right up against the other one to make a nice background sign for my pumpkin. I wanted to do a lot of like really fun textures on this one. And so the leather combined with what I'm going to cover the pumpkin with there really made for a fun, interesting piece. Now, this is just a plain pumpkin. You can use whatever you've got. It can be one of the decor signs. It can be a plain one like this. I really like the size of the plain one. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to see if I can make this like a really fun texture, almost like a stuffed pumpkin. So to do that, I picked up one of these little hand towels from the Dollar Tree in that like mint green color that we used before. And we're going to cover the pumpkin with that. Now, I'm not just going to cover it flat on there. I thought we could also kind of stuff it, make it look like more 3D. And I thought that the towel material would work well for this because, you know, it's kind of stretchy. Now, I kind of want to avoid the line on there on the right side of the towel that you see there. So that's where I'm starting. I just use a Sharpie to kind of sketch out the pumpkin on the back of the towel there. And then we're just going to cut this little towel down to size to cover the front of the pumpkin. I love crafting with any kind of material I can get my hands on at Dollar Tree. I use like kitchen towels, bath rugs. I'm always trying to find a different material that I can craft with, and towels work really well. It cuts really easily. You're not going to get hardly any fraying with this material, and the color is beautiful. So let me show you how I put this one together. I kind of had to work in pieces so I could give it that like stuffed pumpkin look to give it like more depth. So to do that, I'm going to use hot glue, and I'm just going to go around the left side, this little section, like the pumpkin kind of has like 3 little quadrants, and just glue that all the way around, laying the towel on top of the hot glue to secure that. Now, once I get that secured, I can start stuffing it. I just want to stuff the left panel first, and I'm just going to use pillow fluff from an old pillow. Don't need very much, just enough to make this, poof out a little bit. So I just add some stuffing there until I kind of get that section of the pumpkin full. And you can kind of see where the little bump up comes on the bottom, where that section would go for the pumpkin. So then I follow that with my hot glue gun, kind of arching my hot glue to make this middle section of the pumpkin. There's really no indication of where that would be on the top. You kind of have to guess. And I hot glue the towel down, kind of sandwiching in all of the pillow fluff. And it gives it a really nice shape, and I think it turned out really fun. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing by stuffing the middle section, gluing down the top and the bottom, and then making sure that I have enough fluff in there to make it kind of stick up. And I think I do. And I do like the other arch kind of the other way, having it in down there and that little indentation at the bottom. Securing the top and the bottom a little bit here so I can have a little bit of walls where I can stuff it with a little bit more pillow fluff. And since it's kind of stretchy, you have a little bit of play. You can kind of pull that out if you need to hot glue all the way over to the edges. My edges don't have to look perfect because I am going to frame this out in the end, but I want to get as much of the wood covered as possible. Now you could cut this shape out and do the kind of same thing by attaching it directly to the sign in the back if you didn't have a wood pumpkin, but I think anytime you have the wood shape, it just makes it a little bit easier. So I just trimmed up the sides, and now I want to cover the stem. I kind of avoided that part on purpose because I wanted to cover it with Dollar Tree twine. I attached that to the back with a little bit of hot glue and just wind that all the way around. I'm just going to use the existing pumpkin stem that's on there. When you get to the top, you might need to use a little bit of hot glue here and there just to make sure that it stays in place and it doesn't fall off the end. The very end tip here is kind of the trickiest. And then go back and kind of fill in that little triangular section that didn't have much on it. I think that looks pretty good. We're going to finish that off with a little bit of hot glue on the back. And then I want to hang the sign, so I am going to poke 2 of those holes back in the back sign, covered in leather, by poking 2 holes in the leather. I'm going to use just Dollar Tree twine to make a hanger. I had trouble getting the twine through the leather, so I had a giant needle. I'm just going to use that to help pull that through the leather, and it did certainly help. So I'm going to knot mine in the front. I like that, the way it hangs better. And I'm just going to go ahead and string in here the other side and do the same thing. Okay, it's time to put this sign together. The pumpkin's going to fit on there perfectly. It's a little bit larger with the stem, but I kind of like that. So I just do hot glue all over the back of my pumpkin sign to get it good and secure against that faux leather. This really terry cloth material towel looks great with the texture against that faux leather. Now I want to kind of frame out the different sections of the pumpkin that we created with the plush, with the fluff. And so I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree burlap trim and kind of fill in the sections. It's really easy to kind of bend this material around that curve that we need. And so I think that's going to work really well. I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue right there in like the crevice in between the different sections of the pumpkin that we stuffed. Just kind of working one section at a time to make sure that my hot glue stays wet, and then just cutting at the bottom. I'm going to use the same trim here on the other side to trim out this section, and it just really, I think, added another texture and a little bit of charm to our pumpkin. Now I want to frame it out, and I wanted something a little bit thicker, so I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree rope for this. This is the thinner, I think, 9-foot brown rope, and we're just going to frame this. It is going to help like glue the pumpkin to the sign. It's going to kind of seal the two projects together. So I just start with a little bit of hot glue right here at the top. And then I'm just going to keep working like one section at a time, gluing that down. And it really did give it a finished appearance. I have plenty of room left here on the bottom to be able to glue that to the front of the sign all the way around. And that's one reason I love using these shells. You can really make a custom sized sign like this that fits whatever you're working with perfectly. I'm going to go all the way to the twine top, little pumpkin stem, and glue that down. I think it looks really cute. I did want to add a few more coastal touches though. This is how it looks with the Dollar Tree starfish. It is super cute, but I decided to use, I had some real starfish that I got on Amazon that are about the same size. And the only reason I'm using that instead is because I kind of like the color, but you could always paint the Dollar Tree ones and get pretty much equivalent thing. I'm going to go ahead and put hot glue on all the rays of my little starfish. That way it's good and attached to the towel. I want it all secure. I don't want any part of the starfish like hanging off. I want it to be kind of like embedded into that little section of the pumpkin pillow. And then I thought we could use some of this Dollar Tree. It's like a mesh ribbon. I think it kind of looks like a fishing net. And I had a couple scrap pieces of that laying around. This is like the tan version of it. I thought we could use that for ribbon along the top. It's going to give it a nice coastal feel. I cut mine down into 2 pieces and then kind of decided that I kind of wanted it to be connected. So I'm just going to tie it back together with some Dollar Tree twine. And it's going to kind of give it that appearance of like a bow ribbon where it kind of can come down like on either side like that. So I think that looks pretty good. And then we can decorate it with a few more coastal touches too. So I'm just going to cut down my excess twine. And then I thought just some small seashells for the top would be cute. So again, I'm going to use some of these little Dollar Tree seashells that come in the little glass bottles. I like to organize mine in this little toy organizer. It helps make have them available and ready to craft with. So I decided to choose like 3 different ones. And then it's just a matter of hot gluing my little mesh ribbon down. I use that for fishing net probably more than I use anything else for fishing net. I really love it. And then just hot glue the 3 little seashells here to the top. And this turned out so fun. So many different textures. I love the fact that the pumpkin is like kind of stuffed. So it makes it have like a 3D effect. But it also really adds to all the different textures on this sign. And I think it looks so beachy and fun for fall. What do you guys think about my little kitchen, or I guess it was a bathroom towel, pumpkin? Here it is. You can see that texture of that faux leather on the back and all the texture of the towel. It looks so cute, I think, with the little starfish red on front, and the burlap trim definitely adds to the charm. I love it. That's probably one of my other favorite DIYs from today. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video, let you know about our Facebook group. I always have it linked in the description below. We would love to have you. You'll find out when Crafty Beach, I'm going to post new videos. You'll also get to see what everybody else is crafting, and everyone is so creative. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Crafty Beach on YouTube, and Threads too. Okay, next DIY, we're going to do a little makeover on one of these little pumpkin signs from the Dollar Tree. I always love crafting with these because they have a built-in stand. Now, this year, it seems like I went to Dollar Tree today that had a lot of fall decor out. I was shocked by how many new items they had this year because they usually bring back the same stuff year after year, but they had a very limited amount, so maybe they only had the new stuff out. I'm not sure. But I am going to just cover the burlap, kind of sealing all of that glitter that is behind the burlap. I'm not going to mess with that. I just kind of want to seal that, kind of make that go away. I do tape off my base, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to go in and kind of distress that anyway. The closest color to burlap that I had was this cashew color. It doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of going all over just to seal all the glitter and to give me kind of, you know, a more muted background for the DIY we're going to make today, which is a seashell pumpkin. As you can see, we're going to use those little Dollar Tree seashells again, the ones that come in the glass bottles, to cover the entire surface of this pumpkin. Now, I thought the stand was a little too dark, so I am going in and distressing it with that same like cashew color, just to kind of make it look a little bit more like driftwood, but letting some of the dark color shine through. Once I get all this dry, then we can start to go in and decorate this little pumpkin with seashells. I kind of wanted to use like all the same color. Most of these are white. Some of them are gray, but I wanted to use kind of the white ones and the tan ones and kind of avoid the gray ones. And I am just putting some hot glue directly on my sign, right where the lip of the seashell would be, and just forming a line of seashells on there, all going the same direction. This DIY was kind of like working with driftwood, where you kind of had to test a piece to see if it was going to work. Because as you can see, there's all different shapes and sizes on these. Some are way bigger, some are way smaller, and I kind of wanted them to kind of fit together a little bit like a puzzle. So I thought that one was a little too big, so we're going to switch it up to a smaller one. And some rows I wasn't able to kind of keep that like going in between the two shells below it because of just all the different sizes. But again, like a puzzle, you can kind of make it work. I just kind of wanted a semblance of rows here if I could. I'm going to use like a nice large one here on the side. And I just want to fill up as much of the pumpkin as I can. I am continuing like the pointy side of the seashell down. And what I want to do is cover the entire pumpkin in this. So it's an easy DIY, but it is a little bit time consuming because you have to find the perfect shell and then glue it into place. And as you can see, the different sizes do work together. So I kind of like it because it doesn't look perfect into rows, and it probably shouldn't. And so I just keep gluing all the way up. It did take quite a few shells to do this, especially since I was trying to keep with like a certain color scheme, kind of avoiding the gray ones and any of the like cracked or broken ones. I was really impressed though with how few like cracked ones there really were. And I just kind of keep that pattern, kind of using a small one if I need to, trying to kind of go with the gap below this one. I really appreciate you watching today's video. Anytime you watch my videos and you can make it all the way to the end, or if you can't, if you go back later and finish watching the video, it really does help the algorithm and helps my channel to grow. I know I've been doing hour videos since the spring. Some people love that, some people don't. One reason why I switched to 1 hour videos is because the algorithm really liked it. My channel really started to blow up right about the same time that I switched to 1 hour videos. But right now, this summer slowdown season, it's really hard to get a lot of views on here. So it's really important. The algorithm's really important for anybody to see my videos and for me to be able to keep creating. So I have this way sped up. And we're going to finish off the rest of this pumpkin. I'm going to do just the pumpkin. I'm not going to do the pumpkin stem. And it is kind of a heavy pumpkin in the end, but the stand does a great job of holding it up. Now, I thought the stem should be a little longer and maybe kind of branch off to the side. So I'm going to use a popsicle stick to kind of make that happen just by attaching one popsicle stick end to the front and one to the back, kind of going over to the right. And then that's going to give me a longer pumpkin stem to work with when I go in to cover it with some of this Dollar Tree twine. So I'm just going to start on the back, gluing that on and wrapping it around. I love Dollar Tree twine or rope or anything like that for pumpkin stems. I think it looks really cool and it's definitely coastal. I am going to use a little hot glue on both sides just to get us started. And then just start wrapping this around. And I'm really glad that I extended the pumpkin stem because it definitely gave it a lot of charm. So I'm just wrapping like kind of right next to each other. I kind of want to cover all the surface. And again, when you get towards the end, you do have to use a little hot glue on the popsicle sticks to kind of make that stay in place and not just slide right off. I do want to go all the way on the top of the pumpkin sticks, or the popsicle sticks, so that you can't see them. So I just kind of start gluing the twine to itself just to kind of taper it off a little bit there for the pumpkin stem. Now for the pumpkin tendrils, I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree wired jute. The end of these is great because it's already got hot glue, I think maybe at the end, keeps it from fraying. So I'm going to use that as my outer end. I'm just going to wrap that around my Cricut weeder to give me a little corkscrew like little tendril. And I'm just going to hot glue that wire jute to the back of my pumpkin stem, kind of having the little curly tendrils stick out towards the side. And I didn't want to do too much with decorating this because it already has so much decoration on it with all the seashells, but I thought a little leaf would be cute. These are just like, this is just a plant I had left over from the Target dollar spot. I just wanted a small leaf. And I kind of liked the color of these, so I just peeled one off and I'm just going to hot glue that to the top of my pumpkin. It's a little crooked, but I think we can straighten that out, and I think it looks so cute. What do you guys think about my little seashell pumpkin DIY? Look at all the beautiful seashells on there. I definitely wanted to leave them natural like that without painting them, but kind of keeping everything like a lighter color. And you can see the burlap behind it. It kind of looks like I covered the back of it with burlap, and you don't see any of the glitter that it started with. I think it's super cute. I really like this DIY. Okay, the next fall DIY, I wanted to make a pampas wreath. Have you guys seen the pampas from Dollar Tree? They have it in several different colors, and I think it's so pretty. Look how many, like how much of it comes like on one sprig for $1.25. I thought I would just go ahead and separate the individual pieces to try to form a small coastal fall wreath. So this is just a wire wreath form from Dollar Tree that comes in the little 3-pack with the 3 different sizes. This is one of the smaller sizes, and I've never worked with pampas before, so I kind of wanted a small project to start with to kind of see how I like it. I think it definitely looks coastal. I was a little confused how I was going to attach it to this wire wreath form. It might do better with something like a grapevine wreath or something a little bit thicker, something that you can kind of put the pieces down into, because the only way I could think to attach it was zip ties. So that's what I'm going to do for the first layer of the wreath. I wasn't a big fan that you could see the zip ties though, so that's not what I do for like the second round of pampas, like around the wreath. And I wanted to go, with the arch of the wreath form, so I'm gonna have to attach it twice. So about halfway right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and add another zip tie. Trying to get, like, you know, the grass out of the way before securing that on there. I was hoping that the pampas would like kind of hide the zip ties a little bit, and it kind of did, but not so much. So I'm gonna work like in the same direction, kind of overlapping this with the end of this pampas grass, and about halfway up, just zip tying that to it. Continuing around the arch shape of our little wreath form and zip tying the end. And as you can see, you can really see the zip ties. I don't know what the best method would be. I did try some of that Dollar Tree twine at first, and I thought that was even more visible than the zip ties, but I don't know. Have you guys worked with the pampas grass before and making a wreath or something like this before, and have any tips for me? If you do, please leave them in the comments below. I love learning from y'all. And I've made it all the way around here with the pampas grass. It does kind of make a mess. They do like to kind of fall out a little bit when you're working with it. And so I thought it definitely needed another layer for thickness. So I'm going to use a total of 2 of the pampas grass for this one. And I'm just using my floral cutting scissors from Dollar Tree to cut these down. I think they're so pretty. I can't wait to use some of these to display in a vase. I picked up some of the pink ones too. I thought those would be great to save for Valentine's Day in case I can't find them around that time. So this is where I'm going to overlap, and the only way I could kind of figure out how to overlap without anything visible was just to use hot glue. So that's what I did. I don't know if it was the best way, but it worked. So I'm just going to go around with this layer, hot gluing kind of one section at a time, trying not to make too much of a mess with the hot glue. Because I want the pampas grass, you know, kind of be wild, but kind of be going all the same direction. I don't really want it matted down at all. And I just keep gluing those on one at a time until I get the entire wreath form covered. Now I've seen a lot of people like with like larger like pampas wreaths and stuff like that, just leave it as a pampas wreath, and that is really pretty, but I was going for coastal fall decor with these DIYs, so I want to decorate mine a little bit. Now, since I like to use blue for my coastal crafting, I wanted to try some fall items that I had to decorate this with that's going to incorporate the color blue. So I thought some of the blue mushrooms from Dollar Tree for the fall section, and of course, Dollar Tree starfish would be really cute. I'm just going to hot glue the little white starfish right here, like the bottom left side of my wreath form. And that's pretty lightweight. It's made out of plastic, so I think that's going to stay on there pretty well. Now, for the blue mushrooms, they are like nice and chunky, so I thought I could use like one and like cut it in half, and that way I would have 2 little mushrooms to use for it. Aren't they cute? I love these. I picked up some of these and did like a Woodland Creatures tier tray last fall with little mushrooms on it, and I love the blue color. Now, since they're foam, I'm cutting mine down with one of those like fun noodle cutters from the Dollar Tree, but it was a little difficult to cut through it. I was trying not to damage it at all. It is put together kind of like with glue and like a little toothpick inside, and so that probably had something to do with it, but I was able to get it apart. It did kind of like fall apart, but that's okay. We can always put it back together. And that way we could have 2 little blue mushrooms to go on this side of the wreath form. The first one was still kind of intact. The second one kind of fell apart on me a little bit, but I'm just going to hot glue those back together so they will stay together on the side of my wreath. So I'm going to reinforce this one a little bit. It was still kind of together, but a little extra hot glue couldn't hurt. And as you can see, it does have like a toothpick or something like that in there. You could use that on the other one. I just use hot glue to reattach it. And they're very lightweight foam, so they're gonna be really easy to hot glue to the wreath form as well. And I just kind of want to decorate this bottom left part of the wreath form. And this other one, I'm just going to have to kind of put it back together by hot gluing it back together, trying to figure out how it goes back together. I think that's right. With just a little hot glue on the inside of the mushroom cap. And mushrooms to decorate for fall, I think that's a really fun idea. I hope that they have these again this year. Again, I haven't seen any of the fall crafting supplies at any of my stores quite yet. Most of my stores don't have anything fall out at all. And summer crafting is just a little bit dead. And so I think most of us crafters are ready to get started on fall. Even though it is so freaking hot outside that it's really hard to think about fall. Now, I asked my son if it needed anything, and he said yes. The top right corner of the wreath needs something too to balance it out, so I always take his advice. So I decided to continue with my color scheme by using some of the Dollar Tree blue leaves and then maybe a seashell. I like that seashell, but I think it's a little too colorful, and I kind of wanted to keep with like the blue and the white theme. And so I found a white seashell, and I think that's going to work perfectly. So I'm going to use a total of 2 of the blue leaves. I love these. They have these every year. They do have these this year. They even have purple this year, which is really fun. But blue goes great for coastal. So I'm just going to cut the leaf part off and kind of ignore the stem part. That way I can make the leaves go any direction that I want. So I thought like maybe a little blue leaf coming out of each side with a little white shell in between. And it's just a matter of hot gluing these down. And I'm glad I added a little bit more to this one. I think it turned out really cute. Again, I have never made a wreath like this, so I wasn't really sure exactly how to decorate it, but I'm glad that I did decorate it. I think it looks very charming. So 2 blue leaves and a white seashell, and then just a little jute twine for a simple hanger at the top. Just kind of feeding that through the pampas grass to make an easy little wreath hanger. And isn't that fun for fall? I think it's so cute. I can't wait to make more things with that pampas grass from the Dollar Tree. It is so pretty, and it really reminds me of coastal. And here it is, our little wreath, complete with little blue mushrooms, seashells, and starfish. I think it's really cute. I think this would be a really cute, like miniature wreath for my entryway. It's not real large. Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to kind of show you a fun way to cover the Dollar Tree foam pumpkins. I'm going to use a kitchen towel this time. This is one of the kitchen towels from the Shore Living line from the Dollar Tree, but you can use whichever one you can find. And I want to show you how easy it is to cover this with it. I'm just going to break off the little foam stem, and we're just going to cover the whole pumpkin, and it's going to give us this great like seashell, sand dollar, and coral pattern to go on our foam pumpkin. So I'm kind of seeing if there's going to be enough fabric, and I think I probably need to cut it down more like a square, but it does a pretty good job. It's not completely covering on the sides, but when you pull in the sections in between, it covers everything up. So I start by just puncturing a hole in the foam pumpkin and pull the side of the towel up and poke that down inside. Now I'm going to cut it more like a square because I had way too much material over on that side. And this is the side that's a little short. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that on as close as I can get to the middle on both sides. And then I can go back in on the other side, pressing that material down in the center. Now I have these little sections in between. I just kind of pull it all together to see how much fabric I have. If I have too much, I just trim off the corners like that. Gather it as tight as I can against the side of the pumpkins and just use my scissors to poke that right down inside. I'm going to go to the opposite side to pull that nice and tight again. cutting off that corner and pressing it in. I just want the towel to be as close to the surface of the foam pumpkin as possible so it'll really have that pumpkin shape. And now I can do that on my other 2 sections here. Just trimming off the excess material, gathering it and pulling it tight. It's so easy to cover these little foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and how cute is that? Now we need a pumpkin stem. I like to use these little wood stems from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted one that was kind of a little lighter, something that kind of looks a little bit like driftwood. I was reading a blog the other day that says she saves her pumpkin stems every year and dries them to use them on fake pumpkins, and that's a great idea as well. So I just press that right down inside, and that helps to keep all of my fabric secure inside my pumpkin, and it also provides a cute little pumpkin stem. Now I thought it needed like a little bit of decorations on top, and I decided to do that with a little Dollar Tree Spanish moss, just pulling off a little bit to kind of wind that around the stem. I think that gives it a nice coastal farmhouse feel. And then I wanted to decorate it with something else. I have these little blue starfish that I get on Amazon. They're not real starfish. They're like a mold, kind of like the Dollar Tree ones, but they're smaller, and I think they're the perfect shade of blue. So I'm just gonna hot glue one of those to the top of my pumpkin, and this DIY could not be any easier, and it turned out so cute. I love all the print on there. You might be able to do that with the Shore Living tablecloth as well. It's a little bit thinner, but it has that same design on there, and it's a lot easier than decoupaging a pumpkin, and you get that great texture from the towel. This is how my little kitchen towel pumpkin turned out, with coral, sand dollars, and starfish all over. This is kind of a close-up view of that beautiful texture, and this is how it looks. Okay guys, I wanted to let you know that I've introduced memberships on my channel. For $4.99 a month, you can help support me here at Crafty Beach. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos and other perks like shout-outs. And I want to give a huge thank you to the following Crafty Beach bums. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Stacy Hall, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Verna Noctigal, Julie Miller, Whitney Harrison, and Nancy Warner. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, and now it's time for the final reveal. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, comment your favorite Coastal Fall DIY in the comments below, or just come say hello, and don't forget to subscribe. We're almost to 20,000 subscribers.
Open up the window, I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold when the autumn leaves are playing chase. It puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the play and chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun.
Thanks so much for watching, and if you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach YouTube things, you might enjoy this video right here.